Welcome back to another Mailbag edition of Kansas City Chiefs Today. I'm your host, and it's time to dive into your burning questions about Chiefs rumors, trade ideas, player futures, and much more. We've got a loaded show featuring thoughts on Bryan Cook's contract situation, potential blockbuster trades for Tyreek Hill and Micah Parsons, and whether George Pickens is worth the risk. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. One of our top questions this week came from Shad Jameson, who asked, "What are your thoughts on Bryan Cook? Would you re-sign him next offseason?" Bryan Cook had a solid year, starting all 17 games in 2024. He finished with 78 tackles, 5 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and showed real growth from the previous season. Cook isn't a superstar safety, but he doesn't have to be. He's dependable, durable, and understands the system Steve Spagnuolo runs. Now that Justin Reid has moved on to New Orleans, Cook becomes the veteran presence in that room, and that's valuable. The good news: re-signing him likely won't break the bank. The Chiefs could bring him back on a team-friendly deal, keeping consistency in the secondary without hurting the cap. I'm all for it. If you're wondering how to get your question featured in a future video like this, it's easy. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll be first to know when we go live or drop new content. Join our community by spamming NotiGang in the comments if you're already subscribed with notifications on. Tony asked a great question. I'm interested in Tyreek Hill. Can the Chiefs afford him? Tyreek Hill has made headlines recently with some uncertainty around his future in Miami. While he's under contract, there's speculation he might want a change of scenery, and Chiefs fans are watching. Could the Chiefs afford him? Technically, yes. His base salary this year is $10 million, and any trade would likely involve restructuring his deal to make it cap-friendly. It wouldn't be easy, but Brett Veach has pulled off complex deals before. The bigger issue: would the Dolphins want to help a top AFC contender? Rival teams, like the Bengals, have reportedly avoided dealing with Kansas City. That might be the biggest hurdle. Next question comes from Kansas City, Missouri Barks. Could the Chiefs trade for Micah Parsons? Micah Parsons is one of the NFL's most dominant defensive players, over 12 sacks each year and a constant threat. But trading for him? That's going to cost you big. We're talking a first-round pick and possibly more. Not only that, you'd have to sign him to a massive contract. With all that investment, it may weaken other areas of your roster. As great as he is, the Chiefs already have a strong defensive identity. It's just not the right move at the moment. So, while Parsons would be fun to watch in red and gold, I'd pass on this trade. What do you think? Type T for trade or P for pass in the comments. KC for all asked, could the Chiefs trade for George Pickens? There are rumors swirling that the Steelers might move on from George Pickens. He's undeniably talented and had a strong start to his NFL career, but there are red flags. Pickens has developed a bit of a reputation for being difficult to manage. Some say diva, others say competitive spirit. Either way, the Steelers have a knack for moving on from receivers at the right time. Remember Antonio Brown and Chase Claypool? Would he fit in Kansas City? Maybe. But there's a lot of baggage. Personally, I'd look elsewhere for a wide receiver. The risk might outweigh the reward. Comment Y for yes or N for no if you think Pickens is worth trading for. David Bucker writes in, can Jalen Moore be the long-term right tackle after Jawan Taylor? Ideally, the Chiefs would want Moore to play left tackle. That's the more valuable position, and he showed promise during his time filling in for Trent Williams in San Francisco. If he plays at that level, KC may shift Taylor or look for a new right tackle when the time comes. Moore's development this season will tell us a lot about how KC approaches the tackle position long-term. One thing's for sure, they're keeping their options open. Nick asks, could KC trade out of the first round if the board doesn't fall their way? Absolutely. Brett Veach has shown flexibility in the draft, and everything depends on how the board shapes up. If the value isn't there at their current pick, trading down could allow the Chiefs to gain extra picks and still fill needs. It's not always the flashy move, but it's often the smartest one. Final question today comes from Paul. Should the Chiefs draft William and marry offensive tackle Charles Grant? Grant is a developmental prospect with raw talent. At 6 feet 4 inches, 300 pounds, he has the size and athleticism, but would face a major adjustment coming from a small school to the NFL level. Still, he's worth a look in the later rounds. With proper coaching, he could become a reliable depth piece or even develop into a starter over time. That wraps up this week's Kansas City Chiefs Today Mailbag. Thanks for all your great questions. Keep them coming. If you want your question answered next time, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. I'm your host, signing off. Until next time, go Chiefs!